Hey everyone, welcome to the Horror PSA presented by Scary Nerd, and as always, we are your hosts. I'm Paul.
I'm Saul.
And I'm Angie.
The following is a public service announcement.
A group of student activists travel to the Amazon to save the rainforest and soon discover that they are not alone and that no good deed goes unpunished. We watched the 2013 Eli Roth Green Inferno. The Green Inferno, I guess we should say.
The Green Inferno. It had a spy kid in it. Did anybody see that? There was a spy kid in this movie.
Tarantula Dick? Was he Spy Kid?
Tarantula Dick was spy kid. Yes, Lars.
I did not know that.
Yes, he was such a baby. Yeah, he was such a spy. He was a spy baby in those films. But yeah, that's him.
I just remember him from that Robin Williams, like Father of the Year movie.
Yeah, where he dies jerking off.
He dies jerking off while hanging himself or whatever. Like that.
He's had quite a weird career.
The erotic asphyxiations. Yeah, I will always remember him as that kid. What was Kyle?
I think. Kyle was a dick.
Kyle was a douche, I think. That's what the line was. It's a good movie. We're not talking about this movie. We're talking about the pile of crap that is Green Inferno.
The pile of
crap. I know you liked it, Saul, because we were listening at the end of last week's podcast, or the podcast. Yes. Yeah. At the end of last week's podcast, you were like, "Oh, I'm excited. I like this movie." And like, I don't think I'm an Eli Roth fan. I'm not ready to completely say that I'm not an Eli Roth fan, but I think one more of his movies that I haven't seen a whole lot of them, so I think I need to not like one more, and I'll be for sure.
Here's why I'm a fan of Eli Roth and his movies: is you're not let down and not disappointed by the deaths. That's what I liked about this movie. They were bloody, they were gory, and they were brutal.
I will give you, Eli Roth does pour buckets of blood on everything. Yeah. That's kind of his go-to. He does play up the blood.
Then you just like torture porn.
No.
Yeah, because if that's what you like about his movies, and that's all you like.
No, but part of liking horror movies is to see the dumbasses get torn apart. So
yeah, and I'm
torture porn or not.
And I'm not saying we don't need that in movies, but I'm saying, to me it's like this. I like spicy food, right? Mm-hmm. And to me, if it's flavorful and spicy, it's a great combination. But I don't like spicy food that is just hot for the sake of being hot. Like when you have those these wings, you have to sign a waiver to eat these because they're so hot. I'm like, there's no point.
The stupid hot stuff.
If they're just hot for no reason other than just to be the hottest dish ever, then there's no point to me. And I feel like that's what Eli Roth does. It's like, look at all this gore and everything, and we don't have to pay attention to story, or we don't have to pay attention to anything like dialogue or anything else that needs to make sense in a movie.
Yeah.
But because we have these things.
Well, and I know that he kind of not so much based it on Cannibal Holocaust, but he pulled a lot of things from Cannibal Holocaust. And that was my problem with Cannibal Holocaust, is it was just brutal to just be out there for no fucking reason. Like there wasn't any integral part to the story for it to be gory and for them to murder actual animals. Like that was my big issue with Cannibal Holocaust. Yeah. And I think my issue with Green Inferno and also Eli Roth is in every movie he does, he plays up the douchery. There is extra douchery in every Eli Roth movie. And I don't know if he just does it because that's the way he likes to write characters, or if it's because he wants us to see these people die and he wants us to want these people to die. But either way, there's an extra thick layer of douchery in all of Eli Roth's things.
No matter what he's trying to do with that, I feel like you're missing the mark. Like if you're trying to make it to where I'm like, I'm glad these people die or whatever, like you're gonna feel that way no matter what, just based on the characters. So either you're overshooting it or undershooting it, or I don't know what it is either. I can't quite put my finger on it, and that's why I say I don't know if I'm ready to just completely be like, I'm not an Eli Roth fan. But I've not been impressed with anything that I've seen him associated with so far.
Well,
the things about, like I said earlier, the reason I like it is I know what to expect. When I see Eli Roth's name attached to something, I know it's going to be bloody and it's going to be gory. Yeah, like you said, the stories may not be that great, but to me, the gore and the blood make up for the stuff that it's lacking. So, when you see his name, you know what to expect, and if any of the other things are better, then it's like, okay, it'll make it that better. But to me, I'm going in expecting that. And if I get anything else, of it, then it's going to make it that much better. So that's why I enjoyed this one, because I already knew Eli Roth. I knew I know what he brings to the table. So when I know what he's bringing to the table, I know I'm going to be satisfied with that. If I get anything else, then it's just extra on top of that.
See, then maybe, and I can agree that maybe my problem is I'm expecting more than he is capable of, or that he delivers. Like maybe the hype around him and all the fandom that he has, I'm just expecting more from him.
Well, and I think a lot of times with Eli Roth, it's either people are either on one side of the fence or the other. They either like him or they don't, and I think it's just stylistic. You don't appreciate his style, or you're not a fan of that style of horror that he does or storytelling that he does, and it just kind of. I haven't met an Eli Roth film that I'm like, I really dig this tone. And I think that's my issue with all of Eli Roth's films, is like I can't get into the tone of it. And it kind of it kind of sets me off sync of the whole movie, because I'm like, I don't get where you're going with this. And I think this is probably not what our podcast is about. We're not arguing about Eli Roth. We should get back into the movie. But anyway.
But no. Like, I enjoy this because, like I said, when we signed off last week, I told you guys I was looking forward to this, and I was really curious to see what you guys thought about it. And I'm liking this conversation we're having. But yeah, to your point, let's talk to the.
Yeah, we got to get back into Green Inferno.
I just do want to say, to Angie's point, that the tone and everything sets her off of it. I think for me, it's just the lack of a structure, or a good structured story. I mean, everything in this film is just so flimsy that it's like, oh, okay, well that doesn't make sense why they would do this or that. But let's get into the movie, because I'll definitely point that out.
Yeah, and we could go.
This doesn't make fucking sense.
We could go on for hours, because when Eli Roth does comedy horror, like, that's great because the tone is there. Like his douchebaggery like works in a horror comedic way. It, like, when he's doing even like a campy way, it kind of works because it's that tone. But when he goes into serious, like this one, it's just completely throws me off. And that was my big issue with this one is it was trying to be serious, but there's so many story issues.
See, that's what I think my problem is. I went into it expecting, like, okay, this is Eli Roth's film that he said, Cannibal Holocaust, when he saw it, is the reason he says that he got into filmmaking. Yeah. He loved that, and that inspired him. So I'm like, okay, you're paying, homage to the movie that you credit with getting into filmmaking. So I'm like, all right, maybe it's going to be more serious. Maybe it's going to be more of a well-structured story and film altogether. Because, you're going to get the gore and the torture porn and whatever you're going to call it, right? But I think I expected more than this movie was going to deliver either way. So let's get into the film.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Let's get into the movie. So we meet two pretty bland
college girls.
White.
No, wait. We start with the 20-minute helicopter, because I'm sure they didn't use drones back then in 2013.
Oh yeah, the Green
20-minute
Inferno
opening credit scene of just the landscape overhead helicopter shot where it's like Green Inferno,
and it is green. It's very green.
Okay, and in the beginning, it shows like the older guy and like one of the younger kids in the tribe, like they're out like cutting fruit from a tree or something, right? I'm like, their knives are. I'm like, that looks like a fucking toucan beak to me. And I'm like, I know it's not what it is. Yeah. But I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like, they killed Toucan Sam to cut this fruit down, basically.
Okay, I am a true nerd. Okay, and I'm a nerd about a lot of things, and one of those things is history and anthropology. And there are so many issues with this tribe that I can't even get into it, so I'm not even going to. But just know,
how come
know that this tribe is in no way accurate or an actual tribe.
Well, they were an actual tribe. Some of them.
Well,
a lot of the cameo, or like not cameo, but like extras. A lot of the wide shots.
Well, I didn't mean that they were an actual tribe. I meant the
tribe.
A representation of an inaccurate representation of the actual tribe.
Why do all the tribes guys have that bowl cut? Like, why are they all? Like, is it Mo? Which one?
That's the only thing they can afford.
Well, no, but how? Like, why though? Why does it just naturally?
Okay, so Coconut Falls. They cut the coconut in half. They put the coconut over the top of their head and just cut around it.
Is it literally what they do?
I have no fucking clue.
you're just making up your own misrepresentation.
Yes. Exactly. You want answers to questions.
So immediately the overhead shot that took for fucking ever, like I said last week, put the movie on, go make some popcorn, and come back, and the credits are finally over.
I know, and that was an '80s film to a 2013 film.
Like, okay, but it's still like it took way too long, and I'm like, it's to show you, like, oh, look how vast and like how crazy like this jungle is and everything.
Yeah, you're never gonna get out on your own. Kind of.
We're only gonna focus on 3 spots the whole movie: the construction side, the crash side, and the village. That's all that matters.
Oh, don't even get me started with the foreshadowing, because when we meet the 2 college girls, it's female genital mutilation day at their class, which is a good thing.
Is it? It was women's lasers, what he studies in Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they learn about female genital mutilation this day, and then immediately about some ants next.
Was this okay?
There's no rhyme or reason for that college.
What class was this? Because at first I'm like, is this like a women's studies class? But then it's like, okay. Then they started talking about the ants. I'm like, is it just a random anthropology class? Like,
I know, but even I'm like, why would you mix in female genital mutilation with ants?
I don't know. Well, today
that was a weird transition.
It's weird that she was studying the tribe that they were going to go save. I think that's what it was.
Well, no, because they were talking about places in South Africa, and that's what she says. Because later on, she's like, I want to do something about the FGM in South Africa, and so that's what they were talking about. They weren't even talking about the Amazon.
Just wait till we get to the part.
So how we got to those ants specifically, I'm like, okay, that doesn't make much sense. But we meet these
you weren't
two
supposed to pay attention to that, Angie.
We meet these 2 stupid white chicks, and they're so painfully stupid and white.
Yeah.
Like, one is just a complete white slacker who doesn't care and who just has sex a lot. And the other one
was a bitch.
Yeah. And the other one's gonna save the world. Like, it's rough because I get.
Hey! It's pointed out in a couple different spots in this movie, but hey, they're freshmen. Okay,
they are freshmen.
So
yes.
You're out on your own for the first time. You can stay up as late as you want. You can eat ice cream for dinner, and you're gonna save the world from female genital mutilation because your dad is a lawyer for the UN. God damn it!
But you're only gonna join the cult of the Savor the World because of the guy you think is attractive.
I know. The first time they see him and he's like at the rally thing or whatever, the rally in the quad. He's playing guitar.
They were doing the starve out thing for the janitors or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's starve more janitors. That's what it was. Okay. So he's playing guitar and it's like they're sitting there talking to him and like he has a couple of shots where he like looks over at her and it wasn't like the normal movie. It was like, hey, how are you? I'm also playing guitar. What's up? It was more like, is this bitch staring at me right now?
Why is this bitch looking at me?
Like they had weird, like it was literally like, someone help me. Like,
but then later, what's his face comes up and what's his name? Alejandro?
I'm gonna call him Alex. I'm gonna call him Alex.
The main douche? Yeah, his name was Alejandro.
No, I wrote Al. I just called him Al. Al. And what's his face comes up and is like, Al wanted me to give this to you, this pamphlet.
No, that's Jonah. Jonah was the fat guy. Jonah was the fat guy.
I love how
Jonah.
He wasn't even that fat, but they sure made a whole. They went out of their way to be like, "Look, fat dude."
Well, they ate Jonah, so we're good for a couple of days, huh?
The thing that was funny about that though was they said, "Oh, you didn't." It's like, so you're part of the sin. It's like, no, obviously, look at me. It's like, I didn't do that. Because obviously they had to play up to the fact that he was actually fat.
Yep.
Look how fat I am. You think I did a starve-in?
You see how fat I am? Look how fat I am.
I'm sweating butter right now.
If we ever come upon cannibals, all of you guys are safe. Ha ha ha.
I know. I love that it's like, Alejandro said to give this to you. And I'm like, okay, I couldn't figure out, is he like the ducky or was he just the pawn in like, okay, this bitch dad worked for the UN. We'll get the cameras.
He was both. He was the ducky who got conned into it.
Yeah, because he was kind of like, I want, come for Alejandro, stay for Jonah.
Yeah.
No? Okay. Yeah.
And then he says the worst thing in the whole movie. No. Don't think, act.
I don't think so. Don't think. act.
Yeah, no, Jonah. No.
I'm so fat.
I would've-
Is that acronym for whatever their activist
Yeah.
are?
That's also.
If somebody had ever said that to
that's
me, I would have
also my
immediately
motto.
handed their fucking pamphlet back to them. Like, no, I don't want that.
Yeah.
That is also my motto for lunch. Don't think, act. Don't think, act.
Yeah, one of my
Sure.
notes here says Al is a real dick.
That was Jonah.
No, Al. Al is
No,
a real
Al.
dick.
Al's
yeah.
the main douche.
Jonah is just a
Al?
poor
Yeah,
little
but Jonah
pawn.
Jonah was the one that said don't think, act. And then the next
Yeah.
day is when she shows up to their Save the Rainforest.
You must be a
meeting.
freshman.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Like
because it
that
was like
coffee shop?
she's like, "What are you gonna do? Just go there and starve yourselves? That's gonna solve something.
Starve into the jungle and not eat anything.
That'll show 'em.
I'm like, you
My
could've-
dad's a lawyer for the UN."
like, raise your hand, bitch. Like, like why are you just talking?
Yeah, and that's the first glimpse. He's like, "Oh, you must be a freshman."
Yes.
and I love how
And then she just gets wet a little bit right then and there because of
No.
the accent. That's what it was.
I love
It was
how
this- it
in his
was-
little spiel he's like, "You must shame them. You must embarrass them." Like, what?
We must pee on their face.
We must show
Like,
that
what?
they are destroying the home. I'm like, yeah, people have been showing that for years, and ain't nobody give a shit.
The
Yeah.
Yahes. This is the Yahes home. Shut up, Al. Alex. Okay, yeah. So yeah, it was. Oh no, we skipped over the lunch that she had with her dad.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up because did you guys think it was just weird that I thought it was odd how he was eating his food. I just thought it
Yes,
was
I
just a
didn't
weird
know
thing to
this.
me.
Yeah, I wasn't paying attention to how he was eating his food.
You didn't do it. The way he was holding his fork and his knife, like the way he was eating it, to me was like super pretentious. Like he's playing up, like like he comes from money. I'm like, I picked up on that right away. But I don't.
The only thing I thought of, I'm like, is this guy in all the Eli Roth movies? Because he's in a few, isn't he? I think he was in. I never saw all of them. He was
looks
in
familiar.
Hostel, I think. Wasn't he one of the Hostels? Maybe.
I have no clue.
I've seen that
He
guy
may
in
have
many
been.
things.
My favorite part about that whole scene is when they pull back from the daughter and the dad, and you just see the friend sitting there awkwardly, and she asks if he is going to eat his cheesy
Are
bread.
you gonna have that cheese bread?
I want that cheese bread. Can I have it?
But one thing I thought also funny about that scene was he was the only one that's dressed up, and they're all dressed like regular college kids because it looked like a fancy restaurant. I'm like, you won't think there's some sort of dress code that's involved in this place?
See, I took that more as like this is not the first lunch the three of them had together, and the roommate kind of just knows like I wouldn't like her dad if it wasn't for her, my roommate kind of thing. So I'm just gonna sit here and eat my free meal and be like, hey, you gonna use that cheese bread every once in a while and
Load
stay
up
out
on
of-
fucking carbs, man. That's
stay
what
out-
I'm gonna
Hey,
do.
why not? I mean, even if you hate the douche, you're like, fuck that, he's
Right?
paying, and it's obviously a nice restaurant.
I do love that exchange, and he's like, "What do you want me to do? Walk into the country and just tell them how they live is wrong?"
Can't do that anymore.
We tried.
joke.
Doesn't work.
Well, like the good old days. I think he said something like that, right? No,
So,
like the
I
good
don't.
old days.
Yeah, I think something like that. But Justine
Yeah,
is
I-
so. She's so dumb.
I know. I love their whole like. Well, you shouldn't have given up being a flautist.
I know. She's like, "How am I going to make money being a flautist?" And I was like, "Is her UN dad trying to talk her into a career in the arts? Like that wouldn't happen." That guy ain't talking
so
to me.
yeah, so much
a
so
career
that
in the arts.
he's like the country's going fine. You can be a flautist.
Right? Get into the
No,
arts.
I love that there was like their typical like suburban white people. You're wasting your talents conversation, and when he was like, I made you that necklace out of grandma's silver. I'm like, the fuck does that mean? Like when grandma was cremated, she had some like old like silver in her teeth kind of thing.
Said the
Like,
mom made it for her about something. Yeah, but
what is grandma's silver?
they stress the importance of grandma's silver. Like, did she bring it from the old country? Are we supposed to know about grandma's silver? What's this history of grandma's
Well,
silver we don't know about?
She was a werewolf. I really like this whole backstory. She was a werewolf, and they got the silver, and they made that necklace after she got killed from that.
Got it. So they have this lunch, and he's like, "You're being stupid. You can't save the world." And Justine's like, "I can." And then she goes to fucking Peru.
Oh, she meets Alex first. And okay, I want to talk about the exchange where she sees him, like they're walking to class or something, and they have that whole exchange. She's like, look, I'm sorry about yesterday. He's like, you are just stupid. Oh, we need the activists, not the people that are making jokes. And he kept going on and on about this. And I have, you have good ideas, but you're not a good plan. And like, the whole thing was like, He basically was like, "You are too young and too stupid, and it is forbidden."
Go to class, white girl. Get out of here.
And then as soon as he said that, he's like, "Oh, I must have you."
Yeah, see, I wrote, Justine is dumb. All these people are morons. Yep.
So
right. Yeah.
that's about the whole conversation. So she's like, "I'm going." Yeah, and that was the whole part where he's like, "What?" He's like, "What keeps you up at night?" The thing I just learned about yesterday, actually. And that's exactly what they're fucking.
The thing that I've been passionate about for 24 hours.
Not even 24.
Yeah.
Welcome to college.
Well, last night it was women's issues in Africa. Mm-hmm. You think you can just stop the FGM? I know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. You are in Professor Sylvia's class, aren't you? Mm-hmm. Yep, it is March. You just studied the FGMs.
Yep. And the ants randomly.
Which may come into play later.
Yeah, so Al basically convinces all these stupid college kids to storm some construction site in the middle of the fucking Amazon.
I know. What part of them being like, the militia is going to be there, and like, why did it take for them to get to actual Peru and when they're having their breakfast and all that, for them to be like, and then the militia will be, wait, militia?
They're going to have guns?
Yeah.
And then Al goes, "These are our guns," and holds up the phone. I was like, no, that's
not
a gun.
when he has that line where he's like, "Well, if they kill one of us, they have to kill us all." I'm like, I don't think they have a problem with killing us all, you idiot. Like,
you just talked about how they're going to kill this whole tribe.
I'm like, they're bulldozing people with no weapons. You think they're going to give a shit about us?
With your phone? Nobody cares about
These
you.
are our weapons.
I was like,
I
these
thought that was
people
funny,
are
though,
so
too, when they were at
stupid.
that. I thought it was funny, though, in that breakfast when they finally, like you said, when they realized they have a militia and they have guns. And what is it? Lars was a smart one. Was like, "Don't you think we need guns?" You're like, "No, we have our guns." And he does the whole thing with the phone, which was like, "Yeah, this guy's just an idiot."
Yeah, and all these people are morons because they all went with him.
But no one forced you to come.
You all knew the
everything he told
risks. You all knew the
Like, you know
risks.
He's like, "You know the risks. Like, if you want to stay, then stay." He's like, "Don't waste my time." And he was just that douchebag, like you guys talked about. He just
I thought it was
douche.
I thought it was funny when they were, I think, first getting on the plane or whatever, and the like the head guy that's paying for everything, which again, no one fucking questions why just some random guy, like,
Just some random dude from Peru is there.
You know, I think someone said, like, no, she does say something on the plane or whatever, and it's like, oh, he just likes our cause.
He's our
It was like
financier.
Daniel. What did Daniel have an accent or not? Because he had. It seems like at times he had an accent, and then it went away. Like I heard a Spanish accent at one point. I heard an Irish accent from that guy at one point. Like he didn't fucking know what he was.
I heard Irish a few times.
But yeah, he's like, he just likes our cause. Yeah.
I love how like him and Al have a little sidebar where they're like talking about Justine and looking at her, and I was like, "Bitch,
No, yeah, it was
run."
It was Alex and the head guy.
Yeah, the guy you were just talking about, him and Al.
When they were looking at him, Jonah hopped in to get a spank bank selfie with Justine real quick before they took off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because he was gonna grab a sandwich and then probably stare at that picture for a bit. After they leave breakfast, they go into like this like seaport, I think it is, or something. And that scene, I'm like, why is there so much confusion in this scene for no reason? It was like they were like walking in front of people. They were like, where do we go? They seemed like so fucking confused about it. And then I'm like, you're going over there to a private fucking boat. It's not even like you're trying to get like the ferry. Because at first it was like they were walking through and like I see the ferry was leaving or whatever. So I'm like, shit, they're going to miss it.
And didn't it seem like they were running through that scene?
And I'm like,
are they late?
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, and then it shows them like they're getting to that private boat that the guy rented. I'm like, wait, you're not even like... Okay, like what was the point of that? You could have just got out of the fucking way and just walked over to your fucking thing. Like, why are you in such a fucking hurry? I'm like, I don't know. Like, it just seemed dumb.
It was a weird setup because I was like, okay, maybe this is supposed to seem like, okay, they're getting into some dangerous territory now, right? But then they just hop on a private tourist boat.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this?
Yeah, I know.
Like, I don't get it. Okay. But,
so, yeah.
But they get on their merry way down the river to get to their construction site. And they get there, they chain everybody to the trees except for Justine. Miraculously, hers doesn't work. And then they take down everybody, and then they all celebrate the UN check almost dying. on camera.
Yeah, and you knew they gave Justine that luck. Because I don't know what the fucking girlfriend's name was. Just like, here you are, Justine, here's your luck.
Yeah, the blonde chick who was like, I know you are into my man. You stay away from my man.
Who was very insecure in this whole fucking thing.
Well, I just took it more of like Al slept around with freshmen a lot, so she had to keep an eye on everybody.
Yes. I'm telling you, it's the accent. You can get stupid freshman girls to do whatever you want if you have an accent, I guess.
So they successfully stop the bulldozers from bulldozing this poor tribe, and they get immediately on a plane.
They didn't even get any of their stuff, did they?
No, they didn't get any of their stuff because they never go back for their... No, they didn't, because the one chick starts freaking out. When they get on the plane, she's like, where's our things? Where's our things? Where's my bag? I need my bag. And she never has her bag again.
Oh, that's right, because she was like, I need my medication.
Yeah, she's like, I need my bag.
That's what it was.
The one thing I took from it is because they paid him off, they had already taken everything and put it on the plane.
No, I don't think so, because that girl never got her stuff back.
Because remember they got arrested, and like when they took him back to the boat, the friend guy, the shady guy gave militia guys like a big huge stack of money.
But they went back to police boats. They didn't go back to the boats they rode on their one.
No.
So the police boats took them back to wherever the fuck, and then that's when the other dude paid them. He was like, just throw them on the plane, get the fuck out of here.
Mm-hmm. Gave them their passports back, and that was it.
And that was the whole reason they were still wearing the construction workers' suits.
Yeah, because they didn't have any of their stuff.
I assumed that they put it all on the plane because they already knew what was going to happen. So it's like, okay, we're going to take all of this stuff, we're going to put it on the plane because this is where we're going to rendezvous. And I assumed that it was all on there already.
No, because that one bitch was freaking out. She was like, I need my Valium. I'm going to freak out, and I need to calm the fuck down.
Was it the same one later that had to shit everywhere? Because I'm like, maybe she had IBS.
Yeah. She has a weak stomach,
No, like maybe she had IBS, and that was her medication. She was like, I need medication, and didn't want to tell people what it was because she seemed kind of awkward about it. So like, which may be a good plan. We'll get to that later.
Maybe.
All right, but I just want to point out that the whole thing about, going to Peru and to the construction site and doing all this shit. I'm like, this is like crazy old school, like Indiana Jones type of like adventure story. So I'm like, all of you people that grew up were like, I want to be Indiana Jones. I'm like, this is what it is. Like, this is real life Indiana Jones shit.
Yeah.
Like, you could hear like just the fucking like old school, like some, like the old, I think of the old guy in The Mummy that flew the plane for them, the old like British guy. Like, it's like, we were in the Amazon rainforest. I don't know why I'm Australian when I'm doing this guy.
Was that Australian? That seemed American Southern to me.
It was a little
That's what I heard.
Crikey, we were in the Amazon rainforest.
All right, that's a little bit of both. I don't know how
I knew
you're
a guy that was it's Southern Australia. It's from South Australia, all right? But yeah, like that whole story is just an adventurer's story. That's like, no one really has what it takes to be a fucking adventurer. And, unless you have the daughter of a UN lawyer that you can use as a pawn.
As a pawn, to stop the bulldozers.
Your schemes.
But anyway, their plane magically goes down.
Wait, do we want to talk about the plane? Like on the plane for a bit?
Justine's just mad. It's just her mad.
Basically, she's like, fuck you, Alex. Fuck you, Jonah. Fuck you, Daniel. Like, she just says, fuck you to everybody. And then Jonah gives her that
she
line.
Almost died.
Okay, well then, Well, once she realizes she was set up, like, I get that she's pissed and all that. But then Jonah gives her this line. Is like, okay, you don't think you made a difference? Like, look out the window. Like,
look at all the green.
Yeah, and like she has that moment where she's looking out the window and she has that little smile. It's like, you know what? In the grand scheme of things, and then the engine fucking blows up, and it's like, okay, I'd still be pissed.
No. Go back just a little bit, because when they got into the plane, that's when they started celebrating, because they realized they were training worldwide of their little stunt that they did. And that's when she was still throwing her fit, and that's when Jonah did the little thing that you just said. But they were midst of celebration. She was in her little pouty bitch fit, and then that's when the engine blows.
Okay, the crash happens, right?
Yeah, the crash happens, and they're all disoriented.
So the engine fails or whatever, blows up or whatever the fuck happens, and they crash in the middle of the fucking jungle. And basically, I think, like, I don't know, maybe half the people on the plane died, or I don't know. But then everyone's
just the important people come out of it.
all the red shirts die.
Yeah, all the red shirts die.
Except for one. Okay, all the red shirts except for one die, because then that guy was the one that's like, Brock, right into the fucking propeller. And I'm like, you dumbass. Hello, random person I've never seen before.
Yeah, red shirt runs right into the propeller and goes down.
Fucking guy.
Don't forget the other red shirt of the girl who was in the tree.
Oh yeah, she falls
yes.
from the tree because she fell out of the plane.
That was funny.
Yeah.
I laughed at that. I was like, "That all right? That's pretty funny."
I know. I said, "Bitches falling out of the sky."
Like that's right. Shit.
I don't know why, but when the engine failed, it took me back to Congo.
Yeah, a little bit. Focus on.
I don't know
cookie.
why, but it took me back to that when their engine started to fail. I'm like,
And Ernie
we're gonna have a
Hudson
crossover with
parachutes out with an ape.
Congo. Yeah. So like seriously, that's what it took me back to when Ernie Hudson would be like,
Yes, I put the dope in the banana. Okay, so yeah, Kara, I think, I don't know, was that the girlfriend? But I wrote down,
Yeah, so
Kara,
Kara.
you dumbass, no. And she was like, there's people coming. Hello, come save us.
I know,
No.
and she takes a
Kara, no,
Arrow
you
through the
stupid
neck.
ass.
arrow through the. I love how Al is like, no, and then like later he's like, okay, I'm gonna pull this arrow out of your neck. Hold still. And then another
I'm like,
one goes
that-
straight
"What
to
was
her
he planning on
brain.
doing with that?"
Yeah, because he was like,
I
all
don't-
right, hold on, let me, and then it just goes right in her forehead or whatever. And I'm like, well, at that point, you're like, well, shit, there's no point now.
To me, that was like, okay, some poor tribesmen's over there, like, look at this dumbass. He's trying to pull this. I'm just gonna end it. I'm just gonna throw another
Like,
one
no.
and end it. Like,
No, she's done for.
don't try to save her, dude. Like, it was just really nice. One of those, one of the tribe people.
Just sleep. Just leave her now.
So they get taken by the tribe. The ones that get taken are darted with some sort of sleep fungi, we'll say.
The sleepy.
The sleepy mushrooms in some sort of way.
Sleepy things.
I love when Justine comes to and she's on the boat and she sees all these people. I'm like, my ass would just roll into the water.
I know. I had that internal debate with myself. I'm like, all right, you don't know they're cannibals, but say you knew, all right?
They tried to kill you. Like, they
Yeah,
all
I mean,
came
either
at
way.
you. They killed Kara. At least,
Yeah,
very least,
either
you
way,
saw
so
them
it's
kill
like-
Kara.
You jump in there, and there could be snakes, alligators, I mean, I don't know what they have, but hippos, whatever, like a myriad of things, piranhas, even, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I'm still like, I'll take my chances.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Especially,
I mean, what are they gonna do? I mean,
especially after they get there and then they immediately eat Jonah. I'm like, see,
Well, no,
y'all
see-
just should have rolled off the boat.
and plus for Justine, because Jonah had like a head injury, right? So he wasn't going anywhere no matter what.
yeah.
Yeah.
So even for Justine to be like, you know what? They have Jonah. They don't need my little ass. So if I just dip out of this boat real quick, like, fuck it, man.
Will they even notice? Like, I'll just roll off into the boat.
Well, like the headhunter guy. I don't know the fucking the head guy or whatever he was.
Yeah.
The one in the black.
Yeah,
He
the
turned
headhunter.
around and said something to her. Basically, was like, "Sit the fuck down." And she just laid down. I'm like,
yeah, see, I see that guy. I'm like, "Brr, dip into the thing. Let an alligator eat me.
you know what? you know what? Just pull the cropsy and stand up and shake the boat a little bit.
Yeah,
It's
right? If you
fucking-
just pulled a cropsy, that whole thing would go down. There you go. Headhunter's out. He'll probably get eaten by an alligator, too.
So horror PSA, people, if you're ever kidnapped by a tribe in the Amazon, just dip out of the
Just dip
boat.
out. Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's the worst that could happen? You're probably going to die anyway at that point. So
Yeah.
if you're tied up, if not, then give it a minute or two. But just
So-
be vigilant, I guess.
Another big issue I had with this movie is the way Jonah dies. And it's not so much that they eat him, because they eat the shit out of Jonah.
Yeah.
Is that a fat joke? Like, he was huge.
No, I'm just saying that they eat every bit of Jonah. They go for his eyes, they go for his tongue, and they like basically cut him up. They butcher him while he's still alive. And I was like, how's Jonah still alive and screaming?
yeah.
After they cut out his eyes, after they cut out his tongue, they take a leg, and then I believe they take an arm before he stops screaming. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no. That's bullshit.
He was still like
Yeah, moving around.
he was still
and-
moving around like unconscious when they went to cut his head off too. So I'm like, no, that's
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
and that's okay. And that's the other thing I don't like about movies that show a lot of gore. I'm like, okay, I like gore in my movies. Don't get me wrong, but again, if it's just gore for the sake of gore and it's not, realistic or, at least somewhat, it doesn't have to be based in reality completely, but at least enough to where you're like, all right, why is he still screaming like that? That's not even fucking. That wouldn't happen in real life.
Yeah. Like, at least, like, it's scary because this could happen. Like, that's what it's supposed to be about this, tribe, is it's
Yeah.
creepy because it's real life kind
And I
of a
think if they-
situation.
and
Like,
if they made things a little more realistic, like I think you could make this movie as
It's
quote
creepy,
unquote
yeah.
realistic. In the
Wait,
fact
wait.
that if there are cannibal tribes that would do this, like the killing and everything. I think if you made it to be like, this could happen to anyone. So think if it had a better setup to where it just wasn't this stupid girl that's following some guy with an accent to save the world. Like,
well, before we go any further, let's not forget who the visual effect artist on this was. Did you guys see who it was?
No.
It's Nicotero.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was Nicotero.
Yeah, it was Nicotero. With what we know with Greg Nicotero, obviously he's going to try to do what he can, going back to what Paul said, to try to make him look a little bit more realistic. So I appreciated the fact that he was brought in to give this gore a little bit more of a real feel.
Yeah. And
okay.
See, like, that's the thing. Like, so going back to Piranha, right? When we did Piranha, that was a campy, fun horror comedy movie, right? So that blood and the ridiculous worked there, and the Nicotero style that he had meshed with Eli Roth's kind of comedic ridiculousness. Yeah. But I don't think that works here, and again, I think it's just that tone, that the two tones don't really go together with what they were trying to pull off with a very serious, like, cannibal movie.
Yeah, I can see that. But then again, you got to play devil's advocate. Who else, but other than Nicotero, do you think would have pulled this off better? That's the one thing I kind of appreciated.
That's my thing. Is I don't know if anybody else could have pulled off the effects better. And then my issue is not with so much the effects as it is with the overall tone and the story.
Yeah, it's not really the effects for me. And if anything, I feel because you had Greg Nicotero, like, you sold him short by making other things just so
because
like,
Jonah
unrealistic.
Jonah continuing to scream and like get cut up and stuff. The longer it goes on and the more unrealistic it becomes campy, and it drags down Nicotero's effects into a campy genre.
And when they finally cut his head off, and she gets that little like bowl thing or whatever, and it's like there's very little blood squirting out. Like, very little, almost to where, like, okay, I know that you chopped his, arms and legs off already and all that, and, you ripped his eyes out, and, he would be bleeding everywhere. But to me, I'm like, okay, if you actually did all that and you're not showing me the blood that's coming out of those wounds, the way that they would actually come out of those wounds, then when you chop the head off, then I want a lot of blood when the head comes off. Because if you're going to sell me short the whole other time, then that's where it needs to show up. So when I think the fact that we got hardly any blood, like hardly any, I feel like, in that whole scene.
Yeah.
And it was like you're selling it short that you have Nicotero doing this, but it's almost like you're going to rein them back on other things, and it's just going to make the overall aesthetic it just doesn't work for me. I don't know.
See that.
You know what also didn't work for me in this movie? The 9/11 conspiracy joke we got. When Al's like, you think that the American government didn't let 9/11 happen? I'm like, oh, God, you're the worst person, Al.
Like, it's 2013, man.
You are the worst person in the world.
They just had to make him that more douchey, that's why.
I don't know.
It made you hate him that much more, didn't it?
I don't know how, like, why. Okay, again, we just went over how Eli Roth douches up the douches. But in this one, like, he went to make him, like, uber douche.
Yeah.
Like, he was going to gain powers from being a douche. Like, later on when he just starts wanking it for no reason, I was like, what is this? Why is he jerking off?
Yeah. Well, he went on to remain
This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll bring this up at the end, but it kind of, the way the end happens to him, I'm like, well, good thing you were nice and calm. They just fucking left you there, you asshole.
Like, the whole time, I'm just like, please eat, Al.
When they first get there, I thought it was funny. And this kind of took me out of it, too, because you get there and you have, like, this found footage Cannibal Holocaust feel. Like, they did a real, like, shaky cam, like, when they first get there off the boats and all that. And you have this ominous music playing, and all of a sudden they cut to him like, oh, there's actually a guy playing the drums up there.
But very slowly.
Yeah. He was just like, boom, boom. I'm like, oh, okay. You didn't need that there.
No.
Like, I get that. Like, okay, because then it takes me out of it immediately. I'm like, so where's the rest of the music coming from? There's a guy playing drums.
But no,
unless you do that in
like
a comedic way, it doesn't work.
Okay, so they get put in a pig pen.
Yeah.
Which obviously it has no lock on it because it's a pig pen. Like, it has a door that they lift up and down for the pigs not to get out. But that's basically it. And they do have somebody guard it. But I take umbrage umbrage with the pig pen, and I will get into it more later on as we continue on through their story of being in said pig pen.
The pig pen is made out of fucking bamboo, though.
Yeah.
So you can't just break through that shit. Like, so I get that.
I'm not even talking about that. No.
So what are you taking umbrage with?
Just to make it into it now. Okay.
Yeah,
where are we? We're there basically.
They're in the pen.
Yeah. Okay, wait, hold on. Which part of the pen? Because they first get to the pen, and then there's some stuff that goes on at night when he reveals to them what's really going on. So,
yeah, no, I'm talking more of when they get him high and other things.
Okay, let's not get there yet. All right. Oh wait, yeah. So let's talk about eating Jonah, I guess.
Let's just continue. Yeah, so they smoke Jonah.
It's a smoke hut.
Yeah, they put him in a smoke hut and they cover him with all kinds of stuff. Like, you get good shots of them, butchering Jonah and seasoning his corpse.
Oh, there was a whole
in the smoker.
There was a whole like group of old ladies that are like, we know how to prep this, like just spices and shit, and just getting everything ready. And then was it Lars? I think he had that line that was like, I can smell my friend being cooked. And then that other girl goes and pukes. I'm like, she wasn't thinking about that at all until you said something else. So I was like, oh God, blah. That's what that smell is. Oh.
And my thing, okay, so they bring the women out the next day. After the Jonah day, they bring the 3 women out into the town square and do a virginity check? Is that what that was?
Yeah.
Wait, you were skipping so far ahead, man.
No, I'm not.
Okay, so this is where we find out the one girl's medication was actually probably IBS stuff, right? She started shitting everywhere, right? And then the whole like village is laughing at her or whatever. I'm like, wouldn't you just think about like, I'm just going to shit everywhere all the time and just be the grossest person to be like, hopefully they wouldn't eat me. Because the name of the game, and even Alex says so, is like, you got to stay alive until he reveals to them later, to like, we just need to stay alive for a few days because there's bulldozers coming. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? And that's the reason, that's the point. I'm like, this movie would have made it better for me if he was like, because, hi, I'm Alex from New Jersey. I don't have an accent, and this guy's paid me to bring a bunch of idiots and, stall so they can get there first, kind of thing. I wanted that reveal to happen, but it didn't happen. Okay.
Just pull the fast one over him.
Yeah, so they bring up the next day after they eat Jonah, they bring the 3 chicks out into the square to do some sort of weird virginity check. And I was like, why would they even be doing this if they're just going to eat all them bitches?
Okay. I thought about that too, and I think there are 2 reasons. Okay. First, being a cannibal, that's not sustainable food, right? It's like a delicacy if you're a cannibal.
But again,
you're eating, I'm like, okay, why are you cutting me off?
Even cannibals didn't only eat human meat.
Okay, and obviously they don't if they have pork. So, secondly, how do you make more of your tribe if you have only the same men and women in there? Either there's a lot of inbreeding going on, or they need to introduce outside people. So maybe that's why they were checking. Like, okay, well, she's a virgin. She can be part of our tribe. Because why else would you do that to her if you weren't making her part of your tribe?
Yeah.
The thing with the tribe is that they're untouched by man. So I really doubt that they would just find some random chick from a fucking plane crash and bring her in and be like, she's part of us now.
Okay, but you're also basing this off of what, Angie? Like actual
reality.
You're actually basing this off of like real tribes and with their customs and not a movie tribe that's a convenient plot point.
Again, I have so many issues.
And technically, like Saul said, she wasn't touched by man if she was a virgin.
Yeah, she wasn't tainted. The other ones were. That's why they didn't want them.
Yeah.
And they chose her because she was a virgin.
You're questioning the plot of an Eli Roth movie right now. I just wanted you to say.
I don't think tribes even really care about virginity. That's a Christian ideal.
Again, you're basing this off of like actual tribes and not stupid Hollywood 2013 movie tribe.
No, they do care about virgins because remember in Ace Ventura when Nature Calls when that one dude got all pissed off that one chick wasn't a virgin?
Really so? Okay. Hey, but you were arguing this and that's where it led to, okay?
Yes.
You were arguing the plot point of a terrible movie.
No.
Ace Ventura was supposed to be a comedy. This movie is not.
Still though, it had a tribe. And
if it wants it to be realistic, it needs to be realistic. That's my issue with this film. Yes.
No, because
if you want to be scary because you're trying to take a real life story that could happen to you, and that's the whole part that makes it scary.
That's not what he was doing.
Make it realistic.
That's not what he was doing. That's not what he did. I'm saying it would have been better if that's what he was doing, but I don't think that's what he was doing.
Well, I don't know what he was doing.
In either way, you're arguing a fictional tribe. How many actual cannibal tribes are there in the world?
Well,
right?
fine. It's
that you're going to stumble
Did
upon
Eli
one day.
Roth get tribe input when he wrote about this tribe, or is this just a white dude writing a tribe? Maybe that's my issue.
Well, how do you get an untouched tribe to write about their lives when they don't want you around? So, boom.
Yes.
You don't get the untouched tribes, but you
boom
go to
goes the
Peru
dynamite.
and you talk to the other tribes that
They
are touched by
filmed
men.
there.
I
They
wonder
filmed
if
them
he
there.
got any input because I take umbrage with a lot of things.
He went to go film it there. He didn't write it there.
Well, then
And he
that's
showed
the
them
issue.
Cannibal Holocaust.
Well,
And
that-
they thought it was a comedy.
Yeah. So basically what we're saying is Eli Roth should just do comedy.
Yes.
He's not I've not seen a lot of his movies, but the ones that I've seen that are quote unquote serious, I'm not a fan of. So maybe he should do comedy. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back to the movie.
Let's get back to the movie. So they do this fertility check, and then one of the non-red shirt guys, I don't remember his name, but he goes to Al and he's like, you know what they're going to do to her, right? Like,
That's Daniel.
Yeah, Daniel. They're like, you know they're going to cut her JJ off, right? Like, we need to do something. And he's like, more days for us. Like, what? What, Al? Excuse me?
And doesn't that when he starts choking him and he starts beating off?
He starts beating off before he starts choking him, and he just continues to beat off during the choking while looking at him very
See, again,
intensely.
Erotic asphyxiation. I can't even say it.
Like, he's like, oh, this is working for me, which makes it twice as weird.
Yes.
Well, his girlfriend's dead and he's about to get eaten.
Okay, so later when they're trying to escape from the little hut, right? That when the first chick escapes, right? She's like,
Yeah.
I can get out of here, right?
I used to be a sprinter or whatever you do.
they distract
Yeah.
the guard guy and she
I'm like,
hopped
why does she have to go through the top? Because the gate, you just lift it up. Like, it's not locked. They put
Yeah.
nothing on that door, right? Like, they have the guards there to make sure that they don't get out, but they haven't secured the hut in any way. So why are they crawling out of the fucking top of this thing the whole time? I'm like, go through the door.
Well, I think they probably thought that if you go through the door thing, like you were going to get seen because that was like towards the village more. But there's like
That makes no sense. The
she
whole
hopped
thing was see-through.
Yeah, but she hopped out the top and then went behind it and kind of tried to go behind the village.
There was nowhere to begin. You can see through the whole thing. It wasn't put together
Oh,
to
yeah.
where you couldn't see
Wait.
the thing.
This was the rainy day, right, where everybody was inside. Wasn't
Yeah,
it? Okay,
lift
then
open the
she
fucking
totally could have went out to
door.
the front.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, she totally could have went out the front. I was thinking it was the regular day. That's right. It was rainy and everybody was inside. So yeah, she could have just fucking walked right out. They all could have walked
Yes,
out.
they all could have just left. I was like, why?
Like if you all got out and then just ran in like 8 different directions or whatever, it's like how are they gonna they might
right?
they
This
might
is what
get
you
one
do.
or two of you, but
This is what you do. You distract the one inept guard that they left on you, and then you yell
No.
bail, and you all run in 8 different directions. They can't track you all down at one time.
no, see, this is where the IBS chick should have really come into play because she could have been in the corner shitting and like throwing feces at the guy or something, right? Just something crazy like that, right? And like if you got him good enough, then he would have been like, whatever. And then the other ones could have ran, and like they were like, she could have just stayed to be like, look, you ain't gonna eat me. I shit everywhere.
Everywhere.
Then the next day is when they eat the pork scraps and realize that bitch got
Yeah, they eat the friend
The
who
bitch
got
got
out.
got.
Yeah.
because the kids were
Yeah.
playing with the temporary tattoos at that point.
The
That's what I
temporary
call them.
tattoos.
They're cannibal temporary
Well,
tattoos.
Well, what is it? That cup that they gave her, she finished the bottom of it and she saw the design of her tattoo, and then she started looking around.
I know.
Saw-
Was that just a big piece of skin at the bottom of her
It
bowl,
looked like
or was
it,
like
yeah.
the bowl
Yeah.
made out of like?
It's just a piece of skin, and I think that they gave it to
I think
them
it's a piece of
to
skin.
like be like, look, we got her, kind of a thing.
Just so you
Yeah.
know, there is no escape.
And I was like, okay, they take those bowls, and he's like, it's pork scraps. They all look at that fucker knowing it ain't pork scraps. Yet
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
all
I
eat
know,
it.
like-
They're like, do you eat it? No, you don't eat it, right?
No.
I don't know. What did you starve
No.
to death? Well, okay. Daniel does have a really good point where he's like, if we're gonna break out of here, we're gonna need our energy.
They didn't need to break out. They could have fucking walked through the door, as we just discovered.
Well, this was
Need
not
any
the rainy
energy?
day. This was not. Yeah, but they still had to run and shit.
I guess.
Yeah.
But nope, I don't eat it.
You either eat it or you die. So.
Then I die a skinny bitch, and they don't get meat off my bones, and they can suck my tiny little ass.
Mm-hmm. Well, dysentery is all I know.
But
that's a thing, right?
Amy sees the skin at the bottom of the bowl and just fucking offs herself. And I was like, good on you, Amy.
Yeah.
Good on you. That's the way to go, because you're going to get eaten. That's what's going to happen. But
Right,
yeah, Amy
so,
offs herself, but
yeah,
then they add a
that's what we get.
secret ingredient to Amy.
Yes.
They had some 11 herbs and spices.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Which I also take umbrage with, because yes.
Because they left it in the bag,
In the
too.
bag. And it's in her stomach. Like, they shoved it into her stomach. Hey, they're
Well-
probably going to remove the stomach before cooking it.
I don't know. That bitch ate eyeballs,
think.
though.
She did eat eyeballs.
They
Yeah.
might eat everything. You don't know.
Well, I'm not saying that they wouldn't eat everything, but I think that you would have to disembowel and then remove parts before you could start cooking it. Like, because some parts of you destroy other parts when you cook it.
I don't know, Angie. Why don't you ask a cannibal tribe for their input about
It
this?
should. And, like, how would the weed even combine with Amy? See, I don't get it. Like,
And how would it? How would it? Okay,
It wouldn't set up in her system. It wouldn't work.
Would it smoke enough from the hut to get the whole village?
That was a
high?
tiny bag. I
Yeah,
don't
I'm
think
like,
it
I don't
would.
know, like, not. I mean, I don't know. Like, they'd have to be like super lightweight. But even fucking Alex is like, you don't think they've smoked weed before?
I know. And then, so they get everybody
Crazy
high.
jungle ass shit. out
Crazy
there.
jungle. They get this cannibal tribe high, and then still all crawl out of the top of the pen for some
I
reason.
know.
And as they're crawling out one at a time, Al just picks up one of the darts, and sticks Lars, and he's like, "Well, they can't eat me
Okay,
by myself."
Then how did Lars get out of the cage?
Fucking what's his face opened the door
Did
and just
Alex
put him outside.
Shove him out.
Yes, because he was
So, yeah.
right by the
I think they
door.
took him
Yeah,
out.
because you had
I think they took him out.
he just lifted it up. So again, yeah, why are they escaping out of the top? That's I didn't even think about that the whole movie, but yeah, that just makes it more dumb. Like, goddamn, fuck you, Eli Roth, write a better movie.
Right? Like, Al knew the door wasn't locked and then just opened it and pushed Lars out so that he could get fucking eaten.
And I love how Lars is like, oh, okay, they're still high. I have a chance here. And he's like trying to do tricks and shit. And then when he does like that finger thing, I feel like they were like, witch, kill him. Okay, and here is another thing that I that I don't like about this movie, right? They're cannibals. They're not zombies.
That's what I wrote. I
Up
wrote they
into this
all
point.
zombie Lars.
Up until this point, they've cooked everyone. They've cut them up. They've prepared them. They've seasoned them. They've got everything ready. Like the whole village goes to work when it's a feast, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're like, "Fuck it, we're high. We're zombies now." Like they weren't on bath salts. It was just fucking proving it.
Right?
No,
Like,
they
what do
were
you
hungry.
think
They had the
weed
munchies.
does? Like,
Yeah, but they ate the shit
Yeah, the
out of the
munchies.
other chick, though.
I don't give no shits. I've had the munchies and cooked fucking salmon because my high ass wanted salmon, okay? You don't just get stupid.
Yeah,
with
But I
it.
didn't go eat my neighbor fresh and shit.
No, you cook that shit. And so,
the neighbor, you mean?
no, not the neighbor.
Well, they could have cooked Lars.
Daniel and Justine get away while they're zombieing Lars. And they get to this part where Justine just has to jump off a rock.
All right.
And she can't jump off
Which
a rock.
was, yeah.
No, here's what I
That was
wrote.
just so comedic to me.
Here's what I wrote. How do you fuck up a 2-foot jump? Like, honestly.
Just walk, bitch.
Because he was
it's-
like, okay. He was like, you just need to jump over here and we're free. It's like, boom.
And then
like, you stupid bitch.
On Mad TV, there was that Stewart character, and he's like, look what I can do. And he does a stupid little jump, and that's the jump Justine did to get from one rock to another instead
know,
of just
I feel
walking
like-
normal. Like, what are you doing?
I feel like she, as an actress, like she might not have been like the most athletic. And it was like, well, we can't really get a stunt double to jump in this little pit thing that we have for you. So it was kind of like she kind of the way that way that it looked like to me, it was like she's like, I need to make sure I get that exact spot or I'm gonna get hurt. And so it was kind of like she was more focused on jumping in the wrong spot than making it look realistic at all.
It almost looked like she dove into the water. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
You know, I'm like, just jump where he did, or just not fall and be stupid. Like I don't know, jump further. You can't jump further than 2 feet.
Just jump.
See, she didn't
like
eat,
a human.
No, she didn't eat. She didn't eat the pork scraps, so she didn't have energy. So that's as far as she could
They
jump.
all ate the pork scraps, didn't they?
Oh, I'm pretty sure they did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they all ate them pork scraps.
She didn't eat enough of it, though.
Apparently not.
Well, what? She does that weird half-ass attempt, and then she gets swept downriver. They see... Was it after or before when they see
They see what?
The leopard or the jaguar again?
No, that hasn't happened yet. Yeah.
At the end. All right.
Okay.
So they get caught because they're dumbasses. Not before they find
because Justine can't jump off a rock.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I don't know. So they find a phone. I think it was Kara. I don't know who the fuck it was, but they find a phone that's somehow working, even though there was supposed to be no coverage of the jungle. They made a point to say that earlier on the boat ride.
Yeah.
So anyway, Justine wakes up and she's strapped down to the table, and it's about to do the mutilation thing. Right? Yeah. And she's like screaming the whole time. Like, I love it that she's screaming for Daniel, and like he's on the post thing, like getting the shit beat out of him by the head guy or whatever. I'm like, and I just wrote down, I'm like, keep yelling for Daniel, but I'm like, he's kind of busy right now. Like,
right? Like,
nobody's gonna save your ass.
Don't scream for
right?
him.
Like, you're just making it worse for him almost, right? And then we get the we didn't mention the little half squat. The little native girl that she befriended with her stupid flute whistle thing.
Yeah. See, this is why her dad wanted her to continue her flautist life.
Was it a girl or was it a girl?
It was a girl.
It was a girl.
It was a girl.
You think it was a girl?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a girl.
Yeah, that was a little girl.
So how old are you and you can't tell boys from girls?
When they have the stupid low haircut, they all look the same.
Oh, there's just
that's why they do the
there's
haircuts.
3 sizes of coconuts they use for haircuts. Like child, like teen, adult. Like that's all they have.
Yeah, she befriends somebody with her little necklace made of grandma's mysterious silver.
Yeah.
It was the silver from a hip replacement or something like that.
And so luckily...
So the half squat helps her out and is like, I'm going to untie you. And then I wrote down, drug that bitch, rip that bone out. Because then she drugs the bitch and then rips her bone out.
She does.
There's just blood everywhere. See, there was more blood in that scene than when they chopped fucking Noah's head or Jonah's head off.
I will say, my favorite scene of this whole movie was when Half Squat kills Daniel.
Yeah, because he's like,
she's just gonna take forever. So she just fucking blows the dope into his face and then kills him.
I just took that as she's like, you're not gonna do it. And
it's mercy killing.
This poor bastard. Like
it was clear that like he broke his bones when he was getting it. Like when the headhunter was going after Daniel. Like it was clear like they were punishing them for getting loose. So it was like more. It was like a breakage.
You're setting an example for others.
Yeah, and then they let the ants go after him. The mysterious ants we learned about earlier, at college.
Yes.
In our women's studies.
Women/anthropology class.
Ants.
But yeah, so Little Half Squat kills Daniel in a mercy killing.
And Justine books it.
Justine books it after basically telling Al to go fuck himself.
Well, the half squat takes her out to like, a trail or something and is like, here's your necklace back. And she's like, no, you keep it. You keep it. You keep it. No, I don't want it. They'll know that I let you out.
I love when Al sees Justine rounding, he's like, wait for me. And she's like, no, and just turns around.
Justine!
No, I'm out.
Justine!
I'm out of here.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So she gets back, and then she surprises everybody, I think, and says, nope, the tribe didn't do anything wrong.
No, okay. Before that, she gets and finds the same militia killing the tribe again.
Yeah.
And this is people that was like, camera, filmo.
Yeah.
Camera, filmo.
I'm American.
Filmo.
I'm American.
UN.
Yes.
Like, they would have shot her. They wouldn't have given a shit.
It's just one. Kill her. Like, nobody cares.
Like, what are they going to do? I'm good. Just shoot her.
Yeah, and so Justine plays a little politics of her own.
Justine played jokes?
Yes. No, politics. She plays politics with those UN guys. And she's like, no, they did nothing to me. We need to protect them.
They were so peaceful.
Leave Al's ass there forever and let him get eaten.
Yeah.
Dude.
Except their mid-credit scene or whatever.
You know what? The mid-credit scene is when Al's sister calls Justine and she's like, we need to talk. Yeah. There's a picture. I'm like, bitch, we don't need to talk. What did he say? He knew the risks going into the jungle,
he knew
right?
what he was getting into.
He knew what he signed on for. We ain't got to talk about shit. All right.
I know. Why would you even answer the goddamn phone? All right. As soon as she'd be like, this is Alejandra's sister, I'm like, click, bitch. Yep. I don't give a fuck.
The thing that I didn't get about that was, what was the point of it? Okay, he's alive, and now what?
It almost seemed like they were setting up a sequel.
Yeah, that's what it kind of seemed like, a sequel that never got made. But I'm like, this movie really isn't worthy of a sequel, especially if Justine was just like, no, we need to protect them at all costs and leave them alone.
And who the fuck is Alejandro's sister that she's like tracking him with fucking satellites like he's fucking goddamn Sasquatch or something? I'm like,
yeah. Like there's a satellite picture of my brother. Well, yeah, because he was in the Amazon.
Where'd you find this? Yeah. Google Earth. That was from months ago, you idiot.
Yeah, like it's a satellite image. You don't know when that was taken.
I know. Did she tell everybody that everybody just died in the plane crash then? Because that kind of
that's what she said. She said everybody died in the plane crash except for me, and they took care of me at the.
I guess.
Yeah, they found her on a fire. Everybody died, and then
even her fucking story is not even realistic. Nope. At the end of this shit. Like, who would believe this shit?
Nope.
What a crap fest.
So is that your final thoughts, Paul?
Final thoughts. If you're gonna lore and gore, all right, we've said it before. If you're gonna have gore, then it has to make sense, and it has to be. It just has to all make sense. Like there's more than one aspect of a film that has to make sense for the whole film to work, right? It's like anything else, you know. If you don't think about these things fully, it's gonna show in the final product. And I feel like that's what this movie is for me. There's just not enough of some aspects to warrant the over-the-topness of other aspects. Don't underutilize Greg Nicotero. And don't utilize him in a way that's not cohesive to his greatness. I don't know.
It doesn't complement his style. Maybe that's what you meant.
Yeah, it doesn't work with his style. I don't know. I mean, like we pointed out in Piranha 3D, it does work. Eli Roth produced or directed. I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
But it worked with them. They had a shared vision, it looked like, and it worked. This one, I feel like, was not, and it doesn't. So, my final thought, I guess, is, you're not missing anything if you don't watch this movie.
My final thoughts is I don't mind this movie. I've talked about the issues I have with Eli Roth, that I always kind of think that the tone's kind of off. I have my issues with how unrealistic this movie is, but I didn't mind the gore. I didn't mind it's stupid, mindless horror, and I could get down on that for a night. If it just, I don't know, it's just one of those. Eli Roth's style is just one that doesn't work with his spooky tone and my spooky tone just aren't the same. They don't mesh well together. And I think that's just it. There's nothing that I really hate about his style. It's just that it's off to me. And that's just so I have those issues with all Eli Roth films. And so my final thought is it's fun. Give it a go. If you like gore and cannibals, don't expect it to be realistic at all. And this is not an accurate representation of cannibalistic tribes.
No one's going into this movie looking for
I had to say it, okay? I just had to let it be known.
No one wants an anthropology lesson in this movie, and that's not what you're going to get. So,
well, with me, I don't think I need to say my final thoughts. I said earlier that why I like this movie was because if you know who Eli Roth is and you're a fan of his work, then you know what to expect going into it. That's what I expected when I went into it, knowing that it was going to be Eli Roth, that it was going to be gory, it was going to be bloody. And if that's what you're expecting, that's what you're going to get. If you're not really expecting too much of a story and just are in it for the gore, then watch it. If you're a fan of his, then you'll enjoy it because you already know what to expect.
All right. Well, I think that's it for this week. You guys can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can support us on Patreon by going to patreon.com/scarynerd. You can email us at podcast@scarynerd.com, and you can give us reviews. You can tell us what you like about the show, what you don't like about the show. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, all those fun things. I think that's it.
Green Inferno is currently on Netflix if you decide to watch it.
It is, yes. And if you listened last week, The Burning is currently on Shudder if you need to watch it, or for free on YouTube. It's not that great of a film, as you heard me talk about last week. But anyway, that's it for this week, guys.
Neither is this week's film.
We will see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.